the first pesto we're gonna make is gonna be made in a food processor. It's a really easy way to do it. It works really quickly. You can also use an immersion blender if you want, but I really like using a food processor because it's all contained and it's really easy to pour in and out. So we're gonna start with parsley because we're making a parsley pesto. Oop, it's a little too much. I wanna use about 2 cups. You can always add more later. And we're gonna add some grated Parmesan or Pecorino. Really, any hard cheese is gonna work here as long as it's salty and has kind of a good, funky, strong flavor to it. We've got walnuts. This is about a 1/2 cup. Add these in. You don't have to add nuts if you're allergic to nuts, but I find that it gives it a really good texture. You could also add sunflower seeds. Pine nuts are a really big favorite. We're gonna add a clove of garlic. This is raw garlic. It can be a little strong for some folks, so you're welcome to saute it first to kind of take it down a little bit. Another thing you can do is you can actually poach your whole garlic cloves in just a little bit of boiling water for like a minute. It kind of like leaches out some of that like really heavy garlickiness, then chop it and then put it in. And this is salt. Again, the most important part of your cooking process is salt. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, and then we're gonna taste it again later and make sure it's salty enough. And of course, pepper. I'm not personally a big fan of black pepper, so I'm not going to use a whole lot, but if you love pepper, feel free to go to town. Boop. Alrighty, we're going to put this lid on. And we don't want to, let's put it on backwards. We don't want to turn this into soup. So what we're going to do is we're going to pulse it. And we're gonna pulse it until it's kind of fine, but still coarse. So let's go. Alrighty, now you can see we've got like the parsley chopped up, the walnuts are pretty chopped. For these walnuts, I used walnut pieces that you can buy at the grocery store, kind of already broken up. But you can just use like whole walnuts if you want. You just might need to pulse a little more. You just have to be really careful when you put nuts in a food processor or a blender, walnuts in particular, because what happens is if you over pulse them, they heat up and then they actually expel all your oil and you end up with like a layer of fat and a layer of like nut matter. And God himself could not put them back together. And then you got to pitch it and start over. So you got to be real careful. So we're going to take the lid off. It looks good. It smells really good. Put the lid back on because it looks like what we want it to look. And now this is where it gets a little different for every person. You want to slowly drizzle in the olive oil. Again, you don't want to make a soupy mess, but you want it to be a good consistency. This recipe is already balanced. It uses 1/2 cup of olive oil. If you like it a little thinner, feel free to use more, but I think you probably wouldn't want to go less than this, otherwise it's going to be really, really, really thick and probably get caught up in the blades of the food processor. So I'm going to start pulsing this, or I'm going to start it just running, and I'm going to drizzle in the olive oil. Alrighty, I added a little over 1/4 cup, and we're gonna check to make sure it's a good consistency. Oh, it looks good. It's still pretty thick. Oop. It's still pretty thick. I didn't think that thing would just keep going. We're gonna start again, and we're gonna keep drizzling. Alrighty, let's check it out. What do we got? Oh, it looks really good. I'm gonna show you what this looks like. If I can pop the bowl off. So as you can see, it's got like kind of a thick consistency. So I'm gonna stick my finger in there. You can see that it's like falling off my finger, but it's not running off. And that's good. You can add a little bit more oil if you want, but actually I'm happy with this texture. What we're gonna do now is add a little bit of lemon juice. Like I actually find that this is the most important part because I think everything is better with a little bit of acid. There's like lemon juice all over the place. We're gonna put in 1/2 a small lemon. I've got a lemon seed in there. We've got a couple lemon seeds in there. Try not to get any lemon seeds in there. Although, I mean, they'll eventually be obliterated. So maybe it doesn't make that big a difference. I'm gonna toss those guys. Might want to keep a towel around too, because pesto can get kind of messy and green. We're gonna give it another pulse. Now we're gonna taste it. Got my funny green tasting spoon. That's really good. And it doesn't need any more salt because the cheese is really salty. Oh, that's really good. Actually, that's awesome. What it does need though, it needs more lemon. It needs a little bit more brightness. So I'm gonna kind of go all in. This is a really tiny lemon. If you have big lemons, you might not want to add like the whole thing to it. But since this is such an itty bitty lemon, I think that we'll be okay. I'm gonna pull that seed out. And in we go again. Apparently this food processor likes to start automatically when I plug in the top, so here we go. Stop. Let's give it a taste. Holy shit, that's really good. I think it's good. It's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna show you what to do with it. Give me 1 second. Alrighty, our pesto is done. What did that take, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and it's amazing. Right here we've got some chicken, and it's cooked, it's ready to go, it's been sauteed, and I'm just gonna scoop some in and mix it up. Since the chicken's hot, it's gonna melt and like coat it kind of like a sauce. And you can put this pesto on anything. It goes great on pasta, obviously, on rice, any meats almost. Like you can actually spread it on a sandwich. Like if you're not a big mayo fan, I fucking hate mayonnaise. Like if you don't like mayonnaise, pesto spread on a sandwich is delicious. It's really all you need is a pesto sandwich, a little bit of cheese and a ham and some ham, and it's amazing. And I forgot a fork, so I'm gonna eat this with my hands and see how it goes. For the love of God, that's really good. I think that you should stop what you're doing and make this right now. Oh, good! It's so good.